everyone, and welcome to a fascinating episode of Science News. Today, I bring you news of a recent study about the perception of third trimester fetuses and their capacity to recognize faces. The study authors used two different stimuli to track any responsive head movement from the fetus. They used 3 dots of light, and these dots of light were arranged in a triangle and presented either top-heavy with 2 dots on top and 1 on the bottom, or inverted with 1 dot on top and 2 on the bottom. The upright triangle resembles a primitive face, which is perceived by associating the upper dots as eyes and the lower dot as a mouth or a nose. The inverted triangle looks like a pyramid, and it really has no resemblance to a face at all. When you look at it, your brain doesn't superimpose the image of a face onto this little shape. Anyways, the researchers literally projected these stimuli, these images, onto the pregnant belly of the mother with light, just simple light. And this light was apparently visible enough through the skin and the uterine wall to be perceived by the fetus. The researchers note that in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy, the fetus has developed enough that it can process information received through its eyes and ears and the touch receptors on its skin. This means they can also see any patterns of light being shined in from outside the womb. They also note that newly born infants are known to show a preference for, and I quote from the study's abstract, a top-heavy, face-like stimulus. The researchers used these specific patterns of light to see if they would elicit a response from the fetus, and they found that face-like patterns with the top-heavy triangle were more attractive and more engaging to the fetus than the inverted triangle. They were more likely to turn their head to look at or track the face-like pattern as it was moved around, more than they were to do the same for the pyramid pattern. The researchers showed that not only could light be used to interact with the fetus, not only could the fetus perceive the light from within the womb, but that this perception actually showed a bias towards face-like stimuli, even before the individual fetus had ever seen an actual face. The findings shed a new light, no pun intended, on new methods to interact with the fetus through stimulation with light, and the fetus's capacity for perceiving and preferentially responding to particular images or visual patterns. The researchers suggest that their findings rule out rapid postnatal learning and filial imprinting as an explanation for why newborn infants show this preference for faces. It's possible that this preference is developed in the womb as a response to various light patterns, but this kind of seems a little far-fetched in my opinion. On the other hand, it's possible that this preference is innate. If the preference is innate, which I'm inclined to think that it is, it means that the structure of a face and its importance has somehow been burned into our evolutionary memory, perhaps long before we even developed a recognizable primate face in the first place. The triangular pattern of 2 eyes above a mouth is pretty consistent between animal species, which implies that this pattern has been prominent in the animal world for millions of years, and it follows that it's been prominent in the animal psyche for just as long, millions or tens or hundreds of millions of years. Considering the enormous social utility and the fitness advantages that come with understanding and reading faces, there's certainly an evolutionary pressure to prioritize the preference for the face shape, to just have some kind of, at the bare minimum, some kind of innate sensitivity to the face, because reading it and understanding the facial expressions of people around you, of your peer group, that can make the difference between life or death, especially if you're in a wild, primitive environment where evolution is really acting on you on full force, not if you're in our kind of cushioned urban environments. This kind of evolutionary pressure to show a preference for the face, it would be reinforced virtually without interruption for millions of years, continuing into the present day, including all the diverging lineages of animals, of mammals, of primates, and us.